This is RTV6 News at Noon, working for you.
The House has passed HRES 798, a resolution appointing and authorizing managers for the impeachment trial of Donald John Trump.
The articles have been delivered, and moments from now, they will be formally read on the Senate floor. Coming up, the impeachment of the president moves forward, even as new evidence is coming out. But before we get to that, we do want to get to the most important part of your day, and that is your forecast. Todd Clausen is with me right now. Todd, I was just outside. It's chilly out there. We haven't felt it too cold in a while, but the sunshine was kind of nice.
Well, that's the thing. It's different on two fronts. As you mentioned, it's colder, but we also have the sunshine back, which we haven't really seen much at all here throughout this week. So it's definitely bright out there, and here are those temperatures, and they've basically held steady since this morning. They haven't really climbed at all, and we told you that was going to happen on Good Morning Indiana. 31 right now in Martinsville, 33 in Bloomington, 30 in Indianapolis, 26 is the current temperature right now up in Tipton. Another view outside, this one in Greencastle across the campus of DePaul University, and you can see hardly a cloud in the sky. So the clouds have been clearing out from west to east across the state. So for those of you in Muncie, Richmond, you're hanging onto the cloud cover just maybe for another 30 to 45 minutes, and then it should be out of the area. And as we expand out, initially off to our west, there's not a whole lot. That's the sunshine we enjoy throughout the remainder of the day. But another storm system is gathering itself across parts of Texas, and this is going to be a big storm system as it makes its way to the east. We are, for the most part, going to be on the warm side of things. However, when it first arrives tomorrow night, there will be some issues. I'll highlight those issues for you coming up in Maine weather, but for the rest of today, we only go up another couple degrees into the low 30s, but with plenty of sunshine this evening. Have the jacket handy as we quickly, Lauren, fall back down into the 20s.
Todd, thank you. The formal articles of impeachment against President Trump are now in the hands of the Senate. That sets the stage for only the third trial to remove a president in American history. Later today, the senators will be sworn in. As ABC's Serena Marshall tells us, the trial is expected to get underway next week.
A historic walk done only twice before, as the House of Representatives passes the president's impeachment off to the Senate. Chairman Adam Schiff leading the team of 7 lawmakers that will prosecute the case, charging the president abused his power by pressuring Ukraine to investigate his political rivals and obstructed Congress by then blocking the House investigation of the allegations. The president's legal team expected to be led by White House counsel Pat Cipollone and the president's personal lawyer, Jay Sekulow, as he maintains he did nothing wrong.
The whole process has been proven to this point to be a sham and illegitimate.
But overseeing it all, Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts, to be sworn in this afternoon and then administering the oath to the full Senate. During the trial, all 100 members will have to sit silently and weigh the evidence, just like jurors. Cell phones and electronic devices also banned from the chamber. Still unknown, however, whether new witnesses and evidence will be presented to the Senate.
They don't want to see documents. They don't want to hear from eyewitnesses. They want to ignore anything new that comes up.
Now, they want the Senate to redo their homework and rerun the investigation.
Even as in the month standoff over witnesses, Lev Parnas, an indicted associate of Rudy Giuliani's, has alleged President Trump, Vice President Pence, and Attorney General William Barr were tied directly to the pressure campaign against Ukraine and turned over what his lawyer called a trove of data to investigators. Denials quickly issued by the White House, the VP, and the Attorney General.
Just this morning, the Independent Nonpartisan Government Accountability Office, the government's watchdog, issued a statement saying that the OMB, our Office of Management and Budget, violated the law by withholding military aid to Ukraine, writing in a statement that they're not allowed to withhold aid for policy reasons. Serena Marshall, ABC News, Washington.
The Ukraine scandal at the center of the impeachment case could now extend to the vice president as well. A former associate of President Trump's personal attorney says that Mike Pence was given the task of pressuring Ukraine's president into announcing investigations into President Trump's political opponents. Lev Parnas is giving interviews now that evidence he provided to the House impeachment investigators was made public. Parnas told MSNBC that Pence also canceled his trip to the Ukraine, the president's inauguration there, because Ukraine had not announced the investigations.
So Vice President Mike Pence has his planned trip to the inauguration canceled after you were unable to get the Ukrainian government to commit to announcing investigations of Vice President Biden. Do you know if Vice President Pence was aware that that was the quid pro quo, that that was the trade, and that that, in fact, is why his inaugural visit was called off.
I'm going to use a famous quote by Mr. Sutherland: everybody was in the loop.
So far, Vice President Pence's office has not commented on Parnas's claims. Breaking news start this midday. Police in Kokomo are looking for a suspect in a bank robbery. The Security Federal Savings Bank at East Markland Avenue and South Bell Street was held up less than 2 hours ago. Here's a surveillance picture of that suspect. We're told he implied that he had a gun, though no weapon was seen. That's all we know as of now. And of course, we'll have more information on this developing story at theindychannel.com just as it comes into our newsroom. Shelbyville High School is not saying why its head boys basketball coach abruptly resigned this week. Ryan Mack is only saying that personal reasons caused him to step down on Tuesday. Mack's departure comes in the middle of the basketball season. In fact, the day Mack resigned, the Bears beat Columbus East on the road under assistant coach John Hartnett. We do want to get back to that impeachment issue right now. It's over in the Senate, and they're getting ready to read those articles right now. So let's go out to special report.
For the bulk of this trial, they will remain silent. It is the House managers and the president's lawyers who will be doing the arguing.
The Sergeant-at-Arms will make the proclamation.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. All persons are commanded to keep silent on pain of imprisonment while the House of Representatives is exhibiting to the Senate of the United States articles of impeachment against Donald John Trump, President of the United States.
That proclamation will be read every day of the Senate trial.
The managers on the part of the House will now proceed.
Chairman Schiff, the lead manager for the House.
Mr. President, the managers on the part of the House of Representatives are present and ready to present the articles of impeachment which have been preferred by the House of Representatives against Donald John Trump, President of the United States. The House adopted the following resolution, which with the permission of the Senate, I will read. House Resolution 798, appointing and authorizing managers for the impeachment trial of Donald John Trump, President of the United States. Resolved that Mr. Schiff, Mr. Nadler, Ms. Lofgren, Mr. Jeffries, Ms. Demings, Mr. Crow, and Ms. Garcia of Texas are appointed managers to conduct the impeachment trial against Donald John Trump, President of the United States, that a message be sent to the Senate to inform the Senate of these appointments, and that the managers so appointed may, in connection with the preparation and conduct of the trial, exhibit articles of impeachment to the Senate and take all other actions necessary, which may include the following: employing legal, clerical, and other necessary assistance and incurring such other expenses as may be necessary to be paid from amounts available to the Committee on the Judiciary under applicable expense resolutions or from the applicable account of the House of Representatives. Number two, sending for persons and papers and filing with the Secretary of the Senate on the part of the House of Representatives any pleadings in conjunction with or subsequent to the exhibition of the articles of impeachment that the managers may consider necessary. With the permission of the Senate, I will now read the articles of impeachment, House Resolution 755. House Resolution 755, impeaching Donald John Trump, President of the United States, for high crimes and misdemeanors. Resolved that Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, is impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors, and that the following articles of impeachment be exhibited to the United States Senate. Articles of impeachment exhibited by the House of Representatives of the United States of America in the name of itself and of the people of the United States of America against Donald John Trump, President of the United States of America, in maintenance and support of its impeachment against him for high crimes and misdemeanors. Article 1, abuse of power. The Constitution provides that the House of Representatives shall have the sole power of impeachment, and that the President shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. In his conduct of the office of the President of the United States, and in violation of his constitutional oath faithfully to execute the office of President of the United States, and to the best of his ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, and in violation of his constitutional duty to take care that the laws be faithfully executed, Donald J. Trump has abused the powers of the presidency in that, using the powers of his high office, President Trump solicited the interference of a foreign government, Ukraine, in the 2020 United States presidential election. He did so through a scheme or course of conduct that included soliciting the government of Ukraine to publicly announce investigations that would benefit his reelection, harm the election prospects of a political opponent, and influence the 2020 United States presidential election to his advantage. President Trump also sought to pressure the government of Ukraine to take these steps by conditioning official United States government acts of significant value to Ukraine on its public announcement of the investigations. President Trump engaged in this scheme or course of conduct for corrupt purposes in pursuit of personal political benefit. In so doing, President Trump used the powers of the presidency in a manner that compromised the national security of the United States and undermined the integrity of the United States democratic process. He thus ignored and injured the interests of the nation. President Trump engaged in this scheme or course of conduct through the following means. Number one, President Trump, acting both directly and through his agents within and outside the United States government, corruptly solicited the government of Ukraine to publicly announce investigations into A, political opponent, former Vice President Joseph R. Biden Jr., and B, a discredited theory promoted by Russia, alleging that Ukraine, rather than Russia, interfered in the 2016 United States presidential election. Number two, with the same corrupt motives, President Trump, acting both directly and through his agents within and outside the United States government, conditioned two official acts on the public announcement that he had requested. A, the release of $91 million of United States taxpayer funds that Congress had appropriated on a bipartisan basis for the purpose of providing vital military and security assistance to Ukraine to oppose Russian aggression, and which President Trump had ordered suspended. And B, a head of state meeting at the White House, which the President of Ukraine sought to demonstrate continued United States support for the government of Ukraine in the face of Russian aggression. Number three, faced with the public revelation of his actions, President Trump ultimately released the military and security assistance to the government of Ukraine, but has persisted in openly and corruptly urging and soliciting Ukraine to undertake investigations for his personal political benefit. These actions were consistent with President Trump's previous invitations of foreign interference in United States elections. In all of this, President Trump abused the powers of the presidency by ignoring and injuring national security and other vital national interests to obtain an improper personal political benefit. He has also betrayed the nation by abusing his high office to enlist a foreign power in corrupting democratic elections. Wherefore, President Trump, by such conduct, has demonstrated that he will remain a threat to national security and the Constitution if allowed to remain in office, and has acted in a manner grossly incompatible with self-governance and the rule of law. President Trump thus warrants impeachment and trial, removal from office, and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States. Article 2, obstruction of Congress. The Constitution provides that the House of Representatives shall have the sole power of impeachment, and that the President shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. In his conduct of the office of President of the United States, and in violation of his constitutional oath faithfully to execute the office of President of the United States, and to the best of his ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, and in violation of his constitutional duty to take care that the laws be faithfully executed, Donald J. Trump has directed the unprecedented, categorical, and indiscriminate defiance of subpoenas issued by the House of Representatives pursuant to its sole power of impeachment. President Trump has abused the power of the presidency in a manner offensive to and subversive of the Constitution, in that the House of Representatives has engaged in an impeachment inquiry focused on President Trump's corrupt solicitation of the government of Ukraine to interfere in the 2020 United States presidential election. As part of this impeachment inquiry, the committees undertaking the investigation served subpoenas seeking documents and testimony deemed vital to the inquiry from various executive branch agencies and offices and current and former officials. In response, without lawful cause or excuse, President Trump directed executive branch agencies, offices, and officials not to comply with those subpoenas. President Trump thus interposed the powers of the presidency against the lawful subpoenas of the House of Representatives and assumed to himself functions and judgments necessary to exercise the sole power of impeachment vested by the Constitution in the House of Representatives. President Trump abused the powers of his high office through the following means. Number one, directing the White House to defy a lawful subpoena by withholding the production of documents sought therein by the committees. Number two, directing other executive branch agencies and offices to defy lawful subpoenas and withhold the production of documents and records from the committees, in response to which the Department of State, the Office of Management and Budget, Department of Energy, and Department of Defense refused to produce a single document or record. Directing current and former, number three, directing current and former executive branch officials not to cooperate with the committees, in response to which 9 administration officials defied subpoenas for testimony, namely John Michael Mick Mulvaney, Robert B. Blair, John A. Eisenberg, Michael Ellis, Preston Wells Griffith, Russell T. Vaught, Michael Duffy, Brian McCormick, and T. Ulrich Breckbull. These actions were consistent with President Trump's previous efforts to undermine United States government investigations into foreign interference in United States elections. Through these actions, President Trump sought to arrogate to himself the right to determine the propriety, scope, and nature of the impeachment inquiry into his own conduct, as well as the unilateral prerogative to deny any and all information to the House of Representatives in the exercise of its sole power of impeachment. In the history of the Republic, no president has ever ordered the complete defiance of an impeachment inquiry or sought to obstruct and impede so comprehensively the ability of the House of Representatives to investigate high crimes and misdemeanors. This abuse of office served to cover up the president's own repeated misconduct and to seize and control the power of impeachment, and thus to nullify a vital constitutional safeguard vested solely in the House of Representatives. In all of this, President Trump acted in a manner contrary to his trust as president and subversive of constitutional government, to the great prejudice of the cause of law and justice, and to the manifest injury of the people of the United States. Wherefore, President Trump, by such conduct, has demonstrated that he will remain a threat to the Constitution if allowed to remain in office, and has acted in a manner grossly incompatible with self-governance and the rule of law. President Trump thus warrants impeachment and trial, removal from office, and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States. Mr. President, that completes the exhibition of the articles of impeachment against Donald John Trump, President of the United States. The managers request that the Senate take order for the trial. The managers now request leave to withdraw.
Thank you, Mr. Schiff. The Senate will duly notify the House of Representatives when it is ready to proceed to trial.
There you have it. The charges have been read by the lead House manager, Adam Schiff, for the House of Representatives in the impeachment of President Donald John Trump. Solemn ceremony there on Capitol Hill. The next step will be the president's lawyers will be informed. The House of Representatives will be informed that the charges have been officially received, and the Chief Justice of the United States will be summoned to the Capitol in order to take the oath of office to preside over this trial. Mary Bruce up there on Capitol Hill. And Mary, so striking. What a different Senate from the one that you cover every single day. No staffers on the floor, no senators milling around, no side conversations. Let's go back to Mr. Senator McConnell.
Article 1, Section 3, Clause 6 of the United States Constitution. Also, under the previous order, the presiding officer has been authorized to appoint a committee of 4 senators, 2 upon the recommendation of the majority leader and 2 upon the recommendation of the Democratic leader, to escort the Chief Justice into the Senate chamber. I ask that the presiding officer do so now.
The chair, pursuant to order January 15, 2020, on behalf of the majority leader and the Democratic leader, appoints Mr. Blunt of Missouri, Mr. Leahy of Vermont, Mr. Graham of South Carolina, and Mrs. Feinstein of California to escort the Chief Justice of the United States into the Senate chamber.
So for the further information of senators, there will be a live quorum call prior to the arrival of the Chief Justice at 2 p.m. today. I ask unanimous consent that the Senate stand in recess subject to the call of the chair.
Without objection, the Senate stands in recess subject to the call of the chair.
As I said, we'll be back at 2 p.m. when the Chief Justice will arrive in the Senate to take the oath to preside over this trial. He'll then administer the oath to the senators. And Mary, as I was saying before Senator McConnell got up, this is such a different Senate from the one you cover every single day, and it will be throughout the course of this trial.
And George, you can feel that in the hallways here today, just the seriousness and weight of this occasion. And I cannot stress enough how unusual it is, even just to see the Senate chamber packed in that way. All 100 senators in their seats, sitting silently, not a lot of staffers mulling around. What Chairman Schiff just experienced speaking before a full Senate is something most senators haven't even experienced. But it is something that the Chairman Schiff has been preparing for now for several months. And now every single day throughout this trial, the full Senate is expected to sit there as they just were, silently. No cell phones, no tablets, no staffers helping them out throughout this. They are expected to sit there and simply listen and weigh this really historic decision now before them. It is going to be a challenge for many senators. We are still waiting to hear the rules for how this Senate trial will be governed. That is something we will not hear until next Tuesday. And the managers now have this huge task before them. They are going to have to strategize going forward. While Chairman Schiff, Chairman Nadler, many of the other managers have been preparing for this, several of these managers just found out they're going to have these roles in the last day. They are now going to have to coordinate and figure out how they're going to present their case going forward, George.
And thank you.
And you're watching live coverage from ABC News Special Report, the reading of the articles of impeachment on the Senate floor. Later this afternoon, ABC will have more for you as Chief Justice John Roberts swears in the senators as they prepare for that trial next week. We'll have much more local news coming up for you right here on the News at Noon. Stick around.
Tonight at 9/8 Central on ABC.
Day by day, I'm falling more in love with you. And day by day, my love seems to grow.
Sadie Fridley was 16 when she won the big competition last year. Now the Center for Performing Arts up in Carmel is looking for its next young star to be its ambassador for some of the greatest songs of all time. The Center up in Carmel is taking applications right now for its Songbook Academy as they get ready to search for its next ambassador. Chris Lewis with the Songbook Academy is here to talk with us about how maybe your teenager, your singing star can be a part of this. And we also have an exhibit we want to talk about a little bit later. But first, Chris, for people who don't know what the Songbook Academy is, who are you guys and what do you do?
Sure. So, well, I'm with the Great American Songbook Foundation, and our mission is to inspire and educate by celebrating the great music of our country. And so our mission is to celebrate really the classic age of Broadway music and pop music and everything that informs what we do today. And so we started a program called the Songbook Academy. This will be our 11th year, hard to believe, where we bring high school students here who like to sing, who maybe love Broadway, love pop music. We have them here for a week at the campus of the Center for the Performing Arts. They get a chance to work with Grammy winners, Broadway stars, music industry pros, educators. It's a performance intensive, so they're learning everything. They get voice lessons, acting lessons, dance, song interpretation. Our unique hook, though, is they've got to sing the classic music, and so they can't sing anything written later than the 1960s.
Okay, but there's a lot of great choices out there from before that time, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, you want to be on Broadway today, you need to know what came before, and so they're singing all the great Rodgers and Hammerstein and Cole Porter and Lesser and Lerner and Lowe and all the greats.
Great, and this is a huge opportunity for anyone who's maybe looking into getting into music, interested in Broadway. This is a big deal.
Absolutely. So, you know, it culminates in a week in the summer, so in July, but the program is a year-long program. And so right now, one of our students just performed with an orchestra in Palm Beach, Florida last night. We've got a student coming up performing at Carnegie Hall, two students at Carnegie Hall, Lincoln Center. I mean, so we give opportunities for the kids throughout the year, wherever they are across the country. And so it is an ongoing, you know, it's an intensive week, but the program lasts for years.
A lifetime, really.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about an exhibit you guys have at the Palladium right now, kind of timely as we're heading into election season.
Exactly. So so the Academy is one of our programs. Another thing we do is have exhibitions. And so we have an exhibit in the Palladium called Politics on Stage. It's called Of Thee I Sing, Politics on Stage. And we believe that music is always a reflection of what's happening in society, right? You can trace our history through our music. And so we're doing that with this exhibit and talking about politics and government through the lens of Broadway musicals.
Very cool.
So Of Thee I Sing was written in the 30s by the Gershwins, but we talk about Hamilton, written today by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yes, so timely, especially with Hamilton's popularity right now.
Absolutely.
Talk to me real quick, how do people apply for this great opportunity?
Sure, so you can go to our website, thesongbook.org, and learn more about the Songbook Academy, and there's an application. Applications are due March 15th, but there's an early bird deadline in February 15th for a discount on the application fee. And then you can learn about all of our programs and our exhibits at thesongbook.org.
All right, Chris, always great to have you here in studio.
Thanks,
and we hope all you kids out there apply. We'll be right back after this short break.
or IndianaGrand.com.
All right, welcome back. Here is a live look right now from our Weather Now camera outside. Sunny skies here from our view at the pagoda, looking back towards the city skyline. Todd, the sun is a welcome change, I would say.
Right? You know, it's nice to have the skies bright for once.
Yeah.
Yesterday was so gloomy with the fog first and then the drizzle.
Yeah, it's pretty dark.
And even earlier this week, we didn't have much in the way of sunshine. However, with the sunshine, much colder temperatures than we've been seeing. We've been running above normal all month long. Well, today it's going to be a struggle to get back to 35 degrees, which is our average high for this time of year. 30 in the city right now, as well as Muncie. 33 is the current temperature in Bloomington. Even some upper 20s here as you work your way from Crawfordsville to Tipton and up towards the Peru area. Highs will stay in the 20s today in northern locations. Should get up to about 34 degrees here in the city. That will break our streak, though, of above normal high temperatures. And Bloomington right around 35 degrees. So it's a colder day. It's just a brighter day for us, but more seasonable than what we've seen. Still some lingering cloud cover to the north in Kokomo, Muncie, as well as Richmond. But from Indianapolis back to the west, the skies are clear. If you're seeing the clouds, just wait another hour or so, and they should be off into Ohio. But then our attention turns to this storm system that's making its way through Texas. This is going to gather quite a bit of strength and moisture, and it's going to make its way up towards the Chicago area. So once again, for the most most part, we are going to be on the warm side of things. The question mark comes in during the initial onset of the precipitation. Temperatures will likely be just cold enough to give us a little bit of a wintry mix. This evening, though, just bundle up if you're going to be out and about with temperatures that will be in the mid-20s. So tomorrow, the daytime hours are dry. Your morning commute is fine. Your evening drive is just fine. It's not until we get into the 8 o'clock hours, or more so the 11 o'clock hours, that we start to run into some issues with precipitation. And this initial band of precipitation will come through with some snow, some sleet, maybe even a little bit of freezing rain. And it'll continue into the early morning hours, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, with some freezing rain, and then eventually goes over to all rain by the time we get to 7 o'clock. So Saturday morning when you wake up, your first few steps outside, make sure there isn't freezing rain out there. Could be some slick conditions, but we're not talking about a big icing event or a big snow event. It's mainly going to be a rain event once we get past those overnight hours. And honestly, the timing works out well, because during the wintry aspect of this storm system, most of us will be in bed. Snowfall accumulation, not a whole lot, couple tenths of an inch, maybe up to an inch in northern locations. Ice accumulation, just a couple hundredths of an inch possible in the metro area. Could be a little more in the way of significant icing from Lebanon to Kokomo over towards Muncie. I'm probably a little more concerned about the icing potential than the snow issue. And then we're looking at about a half an inch of rain during the daytime hours on Saturday. Saturday, the temperature spikes to near 50 degrees, but behind that storm system, the temperatures tumble in a big time way. Sunday, it's a struggle to get to 20 degrees. Wind chill value is likely around 0 or below 0. And then even Monday, a high of only 22. So enjoy the sunshine today. And of course, we'll fine tune that forecast for Friday evening. Kevin will have the latest tonight. And of course, we'll have the latest tomorrow morning on Good Morning Indiana.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. And thanks for watching. We'll be right back after this short break.
And Keller, right now.
Welcome back. Dave Matthews Band fans are angry. Despite dominating the fan vote with more than 1 million supporters, the band didn't make the cut for this year's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This marks the first band in the Hall's history to get the fan vote but not make it in. Fans took to Twitter expressing their outrage using hashtags boycott Rock Hall and robbed. The band put out a statement congratulating the nominees and thanking fans for their support. Artists that did make the cut include the Doobie Brothers, Whitney Houston, 9 Inch Nails, and the Notorious B.I.G. Time now for one more check of our Thursday forecast, Todd.
Lots of sunshine today, but chilly, a high of 34. The daytime hours tomorrow will be dry, but Friday evening, most likely after 8, 9 o'clock, then we'll see a wintry mix move in with a high temperature of 36 degrees. That wintry mix goes over to all rain by the time you wake up Saturday morning, and then we deal with rain Saturday morning with a high of 48, followed by very, very cold air and the return of winter on Sunday.
All right, Todd, thank you, and thanks for joining us and making RTV6 your choice for news. Come back here, join us for the news at 5 o'clock. We hope you have a great Thursday afternoon.